It is a lovely day outside. It's just perfect weather. It's about, I don't know, probably in the low 60s. Gorgeous sunshine. So yeah, I'm picking up a few pecans this morning. I don't think it'll be a big pecan year, but I do think we'll have a moderate harvest. Hey Tricky, how are you today? Are you eating pecans too? You like pecans, don't you? I know you do. I'm keeping my pecans in the guest bedroom in brown paper bags so they can air out and cure. I'm doing this because this room is closed off and Lucy can't get in here because she loves to get pecans and roll them around the house, as a cat will do. Good morning. I'm Mary Catherine and this is my own little house. This week, it's going to be a little bit of a mix for the video. I want to share with you some of the knitting things I've been working on. I want to say thank you to Lori, Bacchus Lori, if you're still watching. You sent me so much yarn and it was beautiful yarn. And I've made some things with that yarn and I've really enjoyed doing it. You sent me a little ball of Malabrigo Noob yarn, and I didn't know that that's what it was because the tag was stuck way down in the middle. I'm pretty sure you sent me that. I can't imagine that I bought it at the thrift store, and I know I didn't buy it myself. Beautiful yarn, and I made a hat with it, and I sold it at the market for $20. Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. It turned out so pretty. Like a lot of Malabrigo, it has those jewel tones. It was primarily a dark blue, but had all kinds of gorgeous tones through it. And it turned out to be very pretty. This is a similar hat. And Lori, I think you sent me this yarn too. And this is the pattern I've kind of been working at, starting with some ribbing. I'm doing 3 knit, 3 purl, and then doing alternating rounds of knit and purl so you get this bumpy look. I really like that. And then as I taper off in the top, it's just knit. So now this hat was a mess, okay, because it wasn't, I didn't have enough yarn in that one little cake, and it was too short. It wasn't coming down far enough to cover the ears and be comfortable, and it really wasn't quite tight enough around this edge to stay on well, and I was very unhappy with it. So I did have a little bit of the yarn left. So I took my needles and I picked up the stitches all the way around, and I left out probably about 10 of them. I skipped over about 10. Just to make it a little tighter. And I used up all the rest of my yarn, of the pink yarn, to do, and you can definitely see the line of demarcation there where the old ribbing was and where I did new ribbing. So I just went ahead and continued the ribbing stitch to make this longer. It looks kind of like a cupcake. And then when I ran out of that, I needed it to be a little bit longer. Honestly, I needed yarn to cast it off. So I went and found this yarn, and this was just some old kind of light feathery yarn. It's acrylic. So this is wool, so it'll have some really soft acrylic around the edge by the face. But this wool is not scratchy wool. It's very soft. Lucy is in here. So anyway, and it turned out fine. I really wanted that blue trim to go with the pink. It fits well, stays on. It's a nice hat. So we'll see if somebody wants that at the farmer's market. Lori, I just want you to know that I am putting your yarn to good use. It may take me a while to use up all of it. Oh my goodness, but I'll get there. The other thing I want to remind you of, I think I showed you this. I know I showed you this because this has that bobble stitch. Okay, so this is a scarf. No, it's more like a cowl. Now, where does my head go through? Okay. Ha. Oh, okay. Oh, yes, that goes up around the... I kind of like that. Okay, let me back you up a little bit. Okay, so I ended up joining, I mean, it would be a short scarf if it were hanging over, but this way, oh, that's really not, that's nicer than I thought, except for, of course, this one ugly spot where I was trying to incorporate a leaf pattern. And let me show you the leaf pattern in this book in here. It's called a leaf applique. And for some bizarre reason, I thought that I would just be able to insert that into the work and it would look like a leaf. And of course, it just enlarged. It looks like a growth. But I like the idea of leaves. And as I told you before, now I'm doing what the pattern is intended to do, which is to make an applique, an individual leaf that you can actually lay on top of your knitting. And so I'm going to make probably two of these, maybe even three. And I'm going to pretty much cover up and obscure. I'm going to stitch a little bit to make this lie flat so it doesn't pooch out, and lay these. I may need three of them in order to do that. There, you can see it now. Okay. This leaf turned out exactly as I wanted it to. You start at the bottom, and these little holes, of course, are yarn overs. It took all of 10 minutes to make because it's just so little. And then I really want them pointed down. So I'll probably I might make three and put one here, and one here. And I will tack them down all the way around so they don't fly off or float off or anything like that. I don't want them moving. And we'll just cover up that leaf. And if any part of it does stick out, it'll just look like an underneath shadow leaf. So anyway, but I like those bobbles more than I thought. And I like how it fits around the neck. And I like the color gradation too. That actually turned out a whole lot better than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be the ugliest thing ever, so it's not quite. As you saw, I was picking up pecans, and I'm going to show you how I make this little leaf. I think I'll do a real quick little video of making the next leaf that goes on here. This is a leaf day. Leaves outside, leaves inside. And then after that, I have a little kind of Christmas decoration thing that I did with some stockings that I bought from my friend Pat. And I want to share that with you too. So we'll look at all that. Now, first of all, I am leaving a nice long tail. I've got plenty of this yarn, so that I will have plenty of yarn to sew this on with or attach it to that cowl. Okay, so the row 1 and the odd rows are the right side. So the odd rows are this side of the fabric that looks more like knit, not purl. So right side. So 3 stitches to cast on. It says the first thing you do is knit back 1. So you're going to do a knit stitch in the back of the stitch. Okay. Then you yarn over. Then you knit 1, then you yarn over, and then you knit into the back again. So you've increased by 2 stitches, so now you have 5 stitches. And then on the back of it, on the purl side, it says to purl back 1, okay? And so you have to stick your needle in as if to purl, and do that stitch. So purl back 1, and then you purl to the end of that row. Honestly, this circular needle is a little bit long for this. And then on the last stitch, you purl back in the back. You purl in the back of the stitch. All right. And then that purl row, that is what you do for rows 2, 4, and 6, okay? Man, don't like that tail. Okay, so then row 3, you knit in the back. I think this is just to give you a particular edge. And then you knit 1. And then you yarn over and knit 1. And you yarn over and knit 1 again. and then you knit in the back. Now, the yarn overs are to give you these holes on either side of kind of the spine that goes up the middle of the leaf. So you're going to have 2 yarn overs in each knit row that will do that. Okay, so now this is row 4, so I'm going to purl in the back, and then you purl across, so you never put an increase in the purl rows. And then you purl in the back again. There's your row 4. Now row 5, you knit in the back, you knit 2, getting a little further across before you do your yarn over. You do your yarn over, knit 1, that's your center spine, yarn over, knit 2, and knit in the back. Okay, now you're starting to see your widening leaf and your yarn over holes in the middle. And then this is row 6, which is the last time that I'm going to do that particular purl. I'm going to purl in the back. Oh, this first one is always so awkward. And then purl across. And then purl in the back. All right, so that was row 6. So that's the end of the kind of the trickiest part. Row 7 is still a yarn over row for the front, for the knitted side. And so I'm still going to knit in the back. And then I'm going to knit 3 this time. And then I'm going to yarn over, knit 1, which is the spine of the leaf, yarn over, knit 3. And this is really the widest point of the leaf, and then knit in the back. Okay, now after this, all of the purl rows on the back are just straight purl. Okay, nothing else. So that's one reason it gets a bit easier at this point. Okay. I have never done anything like this before, to knit an object. Well, if I have, I don't really remember doing it. I used to, no, I think I used to crochet little flowers. I don't think I've knitted anything like this. Anyway, this is super fun. This book I have has so many fun. Okay, so there, I'm pretty much at my widest point right there. You see? You can see the spine. This is the knit in the middle with the yarn overs on either side, and the increase draws the leaf out, and now I'm going to taper down. Okay, so that was row 7. No, I did my purl for the next one. So row 9, now I'm going to start to decrease. And the way they do this, which is pretty standard, is you do a slip, slip, knit first. Okay, so you slip, slip, and then you put your needle in the front, and you knit those 2 together. Okay, and then you knit all the way across. This is very slippery yarn. You get used to knitting with wool, and then you go back to acrylic, and oh my goodness, acrylic just slides around. Now notice there's no more yarn over, so there's no more holes. And then when you get to the last 2 stitches, you knit them together. So this is a case of a reduction on each end of the knit row, the right side, It's a slip knit on this end, and it's always a knit two together on this end. And then I'm just going to purl back across. And do keep on pulling this to keep the stitches kind of a little bit tidy and tight. These are size, I think they're 10.5 needles. This is not number 4 weight. It's not worsted weight. It's a little bit bulky, but not huge, the weight of the yarn. I have so many size 10.5 needles. Let me see. Yes, 10.5. I have a lot of those. I think it's a favorite size needle. I have them in, I love to use the bamboo needles, and I have 10.5s in so many different lengths. It's really nice. Okay, so that was, now I'm on row 11. I'm not really thinking about the purl rows, but it's just the same on the front here. So knit, knit, or slip, knit together, knit across. Oh, turn my brain off ever so slightly. Okay, knit two together. There. Looking like a piece of fruit, but we'll get to a point here in a minute. Okay, I'll bring you back at row 17. That's when things change just a little bit. Well, I touched something wrong on my camera, and I didn't record this last little bit. But I want you to get a good close look at this leaf. It does end up with a nice edge here where you've done your reduction. It has a beautiful spine in the middle. The last instruction for row 17 that's supposed to get you down to this single stitch, it looks like skip poo or something. It's SK2PO. And I had three stitches, and what you do with that is you slip the first stitch, then you knit the next two together, and then you pass the first slip stitch over the second stitch, and that gets you down to this. Okay, so now I'm taking that off, and I'm going to cut off a nice long tail and pass it through that loop. Now, here's that ugly leaf that I did. But sometimes you do things in knitting and in craft work, and it's just a terrible mistake because you think you know what you're doing and you don't. If I open this up, you can see the yarn over stitches here. You can kind of see where this leaf is. But I'm going to have these leaves pointing downward. So probably one there, and another one there, and I'll probably make another one here because it takes so little time. And I'm starting to get to the part of the skein that is more blue, and so this last leaf will be a nice dark blue, and underneath more comparable to this color up here. So I think that might be kind of fun. It looked like I intended it when I didn't. Now, one thing that just occurred to me, oh, and you can see the thing hanging over my head up there? That's a little garland of wreaths that I made a long time ago, but I didn't have patterns for those leaves. I kind of made them up, and some of them look good and some of them don't look like leaves. But these really look like leaves because I'm following a pattern from a real book that somebody professional designed. And I thought, you know, this is the perfect time of year to sit down and do this when you're watching TV. Make 20 leaves in different colors from all your yarn and your yarn stash, okay? And then string them up on a chain, a crocheted chain like that. Wonderful garland. Wouldn't that be a fun idea? I might have to do that. Those would be great Christmas gifts, wouldn't they? Little stocking stuffers. You could make 10 leaves, put it on a chain, fold it all up, stick it in the stocking. Somebody pulls it out, and you can just put it anywhere. You can put it right on the wall. You can put it above a window or in in between on a door frame at the top. So that's a thought. And if I do that, I'll share it with you.